The exchange. Read and enjoy. Let's read the story of 6 boys, how enmity amongst them turned into friendship by the effort of one boy. One afternoon 3 weeks later, Swaminathan stood before Mani's house and gave a low whistle. Mani joined him. They started for Rajam's house, speculating on the way what the surprise, which Rajam had said he would give them if they saw him that afternoon, might be. "I think," said Swaminathan, "Rajam is merely joking. It is merely a trick to get us to his house. He was very nearly pushed into a gutter for this doubt. Probably he has bought a monkey or something." Swaminathan ventured again. Mani was gracious enough to admit that it might be so. They thought of all possible subjects that might surprise them, and gave up the attempt in the end. Their thoughts turned to their enemies. "You know what I am going to do?" Mani asked. "I am going to break Somu's waist. I know where he lives. He lives in Kabir Street, behind the market. I have often seen him coming out at nights to a shop in the market for betel leaves. I shall first fling a stone at the municipal lamp and put it out. You have no idea how dark Kabir Street is. I shall wait with my club, and as soon as he appears, he will sprawl in the dust with broken bones." Swaminathan shuddered at the thought. "And that is not all," said Mani. "I am going to get that pea under by heel and press him to the earth. And Shankar is going to hang by his tuft over Saryu, from a peepal branch." They stopped talking when they reached Rajam's house. The gate was bolted, and they got up the wall and jumped in. A servant came running towards them. He asked, "Why did you climb the wall? Is the wall your property?" Mani asked and burst into laughter. "But if you had broken your ribs," the servant began. "What is that to you? Your ribs are safe, are they not?" Swaminathan asked ungraciously and laughed. "And just a word more," Mani said. "Do you happen to be by any chance the police superintendent's son?" "No, no," replied the servant. "Very well then," replied Mani, "we have come to see and talk to the police superintendent's son." The servant beat a hasty retreat. They banged their fists on Rajam's door. They heard the clicking of the latch and hid themselves behind the pillar. Rajam peeped out and shut the door again. They came out, stood before the door, and wondered what to do. Swaminathan applied his mouth to the keyhole and mewed like a cat. Mani pulled him away and putting his mouth to the hole barked like a dog. The latch clicked again, and the door slightly opened. Mani whispered to Swaminathan, "You are a blind kitten. I will be a blind puppy." Mani fell down on his knees and hands, shut his eyes tight, pushed the door with his head, and entered Rajam's room in the role of a blind puppy. Swaminathan crawled behind him with shut eyes, mewing for all he was worth. They moved round and round the room, Rajam adding to the interest of the game by mewing and barking in answer every few seconds. The blind puppy brushed its side against a leg, and thinking that it belongs to Rajam, softly bit the calf muscle. Imagine its confusion when it opened its eyes and saw that it was biting its enemy. Somu. The blind kitten nestled close to a leg and scratched it with its paw. Opening its eyes, it found that it was fondling a leg that belonged to its enemy, Shankar. Mani remained stunned for a moment, and then scrambled to his feet. He looked around, his face twitching with shame and rage. He saw the pea sitting in a corner, his eyes twinkling with mischief, and felt impelled to take him by the throat. He turned round and saw Rajam regarding him steadily, his mouth still quivering with a smothered grin. As for Swaminathan, he felt that the best place for himself would be the darkness and obscurity under a table or a chair. "What do you mean by this, Rajam?" Mani asked. "Why are you so wild?" "It was your fault," said Mani vehemently. "I didn't know." He looked around. Well, I didn't ask you to crawl and bark, did I?" Somu and company laughed. Money glared round. I am going away, Rajam. This is not the place for me. Rajam replied, you may go away, if you don't want me to see you or speak to you anymore. Money fidgeted uneasily. Rajam took him aside and soothed him. Rajam then turned to Swaminathan, who was lost in bottomless misery. He comforted and flattered him by saying that it was the best imitation of a cat and dog that he had ever witnessed in his life. He admitted that for a few minutes he wondered whether he was watching a real cat and a dog. They would get prizes if they did it in fairs. If Swaminathan and Money would be good enough to repeat the fun, he would be delighted, and even ask his father to come and watch. This was soothing. Swaminathan and Money felt proud of themselves. And after the round of eating that followed, they were perfectly happy, except when they thought of the other three in the room. They were in this state of mind when Rajam began a lecture on friendship. He said impressive things about friendship, quoting from his book The Story of the Dying Old Man and the Faggots, which proved that union was strength. A friend in need was a friend indeed. He then started giving hair-raising accounts of what hell had in store for persons who fostered enmity. According to Rajam, it was written in the Vedas that a person who fostered enmity should be locked up in a small room after his death. He would be made to stand, stark naked, on a pedestal of red-hot iron. There were beehives all around with bees as big as lemons. If the sinner stepped down from the pedestal, he would have to put his foot on immense scorpions and centipedes that crawled about the room in hundreds. A shudder went through the company. The sinner would have to stand thus for a month, without food or sleep. At the end of a month he would be transferred to another place, a very narrow bridge over a lake of boiling oil. The bridge was so narrow that he would be able to keep only one foot on it at a time. Even on the narrow bridge there were plenty of wasp nests and cactus, and he would be goaded from behind to move on. He would have to balance on one foot, and then on another, for ages and ages, to keep himself from falling into the steaming lake below, and move on indefinitely. The company was greatly impressed. Rajam then invited everyone to come forward and say that they would have no more enemies. If Shankar said it, he would get a bound notebook. If Swaminathan said it, he would get a clockwork engine. If Somu said it, he would get a belt. And if Money said it, he would get a nice pocket knife, and the P would get a marvelous little pen. He threw open the cupboard and displayed the prizes. There was silence for some time as each sat gnawing his nails. Rajam was sweating with his peacemaking efforts. The P was the first to rise. He stood before the cupboard and said, "Let me see the fountain pen." Rajam gave it to him. The P turned it round and gave it back without any comment. "Why don't you like it?" Rajam asked. The P kept staring into the cupboard and said, "Can I have that box?" He pointed at a tiny box with a lot of yellow and black designs on it and a miniature Taj Mahal on its lid. Rajam said, "I can't give you that, I want it." He paused. He had 2 more boxes like that in his trunk. He changed his mind. "No, I don't want it. You can take the box if you like." In a short while, Money was sharpening a knife on his palm. Somu was trying a belt on. Shankar was fingering a thick-bound notebook and Swaminathan was jealously clasping a green engine to his bosom. "Thank you, friend. Thank you, friend, for all the things that mean so much to me, for concern and understanding, you give abundantly. Thanks for listening with your heart, for cheering me when I'm blue, for bringing out the best in me, and just for being you. Thanks for in-depth conversation that stimulates my brain, for silly times we laugh out loud, for things I can't explain, for looking past my flaws and faults, for all the time you spend, for all the kind things that you do. Thank you, friend."